Hello and welcome home, everyone. My name is Jesse. This is the Auditorium. Welcome back to VGM Vibes. It's been longer than I thought. I think it's been over half a year, which is kind of wild because this was a series that was kind of just nothing, a random idea, and it became sort of a little favorite. And it's fun for me to do quite a bit. Obviously we pick different themes, and today I wanted to have something commemorate that we're coming back and what other best feeling of like coming back home than home themes. But I combined it. This is also the first time where it's like a kind of like a double feature. It's hometown themes and hub worlds. So this could be anything from the first area your characters are from. Maybe they visit this place much later in the game. Or it's also the place where you can go to different levels, say like a crash warp room or something. Just a place where is centralized as home. I think there's a very specific feeling when it comes to these songs. They feel very cozy. They feel just warm and, hopefully doesn't give you the feeling of anxiety or anything like that. But who knows with this amount of songs we have here. But I would like to thank the everyone that contributed. I think this is a pretty notable announcement for people that don't know. My Patreon, even free members, contribute a lot to VGM Vibes. It's kind of like a community thing. So free members can suggest songs. They may even get their song chosen for free, and not only for free, but skip a huge line. But as long as it's within the theme and people agree with it, then who knows? So yeah, there's my advertisement once a year to join Patreon. Anyways, this one's gonna be a little different, and I think I'm gonna do it like this from now on. I know I'm yapping a lot, but I wanted to get this out of the way before. Okay, really quick. The main thing about VGM Vibes is started out as songs that I know and songs that games I've played, so I could talk about them. But then when the community stuff started to come in, I was like, I haven't played these games. I don't know what to talk about. So it was a lot of studying on my end, kind of spoiling myself on some things. So I said, no more of that. So what I'm going to do instead is kind of a throwback to when I first started the auditorium. That's when I had like comments visible on screen. I'm now going to, if there's a game I haven't played here or I don't know what's going on, instead of me researching it, I'll just read off some of the comments from my YouTube channel or from the Patreon post itself. And that way, you can see possibly yourself up there. So yeah, it'll be other people's words, and that'll be random. It's not always a top comment. It's just whatever I think is fitting. So it's all coming together. And yeah. And if you're curious what the next episode is going to be, it's going to be somewhat related to this. If you want to prepare now, that is going to be world map themes. Anyways, a lot of yapping. Let's get to it. The only theme of this episode is it is descending in chronological order, so newest to last, or newest to oldest, except for the very last entry. So you should feel more and more nostalgic as the video goes on. Okay, anyways. Thank you for waiting for VGM Vibes, and welcome home. All right, the first entry on this list is also the most recent game, Hollow Knight Silksong, released in 2025. I've never played this game. I only played the original, which I really enjoyed. And since I don't know what's going on in Bellheart, I'm going to leave it to the people. Let's see how this works out. First comment from A28277. When you first arrive in Bellheart, it is haunted. You get an animated cutscene of Hornet looking up to find all its residents being hung up by silk, and the music is creepy. After defeating Widow, you free the residents and this theme starts playing. One of the biggest differences between Silksong and Hollow Knight is that there is a quest system, and Hornet is actually capable of speaking to characters, unlike the Knight. After fulfilling enough of Bellheart's quest, eventually you're able to buy yourself a home, and even able to decorate it. So it really does feel like a coming home at that point. Also, I guess I should have said like potential spoiler warning for people that haven't played, including myself. Next from _LISJ5, channel member. The first time Bellheart theme played, it was the moment that actually made me stop and listen to the music and just absorb the atmosphere. It really was a moment where it clicked in my head that I'm really playing Silksong and that I'm playing Peak. Peak. From Great Ryzen. Hearing Bellheart the first time was such a great feeling, seeing how lively the area was, getting to know the citizens throughout the game. Honestly, over time, this became one of my favorite soundtracks in this game. Bellheart actually makes it feel like it's your home to always come back to. It's definitely not like Dirtmouth. There's a lot more involvement in Bellheart. There's a few camps, hub areas throughout the game, but Bellheart is by far my favorite and the one I come back to the most. Oh, all right. Well, today I learned something. That is Bellheart from Hollow Knight. Up next, we're going to be talking about my game of the year of 2025, Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance, with the Demon Haunt 1. There are two versions of this. I vastly prefer the first one. Can't talk about the second one, it's a spoiler, but actually, in case you wanted to know, this soundtrack is unbelievably amazing, and this is my second favorite song. So, funny enough, I wasn't going to put this in here, because it kind of, I don't know, it kind of counts, it kind of doesn't, I don't know, but someone reminded me of it, and you're like, you know what, anytime I get to talk about SMT 5, my debut of Atlas, yeah, I'm going to talk about it. But basically, it's very simple. I don't know what other vibes I can put this in, but basically, it's, long story short, Shin Megami Tensei 5 released, and some people were not happy because it felt incomplete. And I guess that's just kind of an Atlas thing, because then they released Vengeance, which is like the complete version with a different storyline as well. You can do both. But they added a whole bunch of quality of life stuff. I think there's a video on YouTube that the developers made that's like 100 different things that they added. And the Demon Haunt was one of them. It's basically this, like, I guess it's the closest thing to a hub, but it's a place where your party gathers. You can talk to them. You can sort of like feed them in a sense by giving them these items. They level up there by talking to them, and you get like exclusive conversations and exclusive level up points. And the cool thing about the Demon Haunt is that every location that you visit, the Demon Haunt changes. So it's a really cool reflective version of where you're at. But also, the song, I mean, again, SMT5 is such an incredible soundtrack. But this song is a standout because it's lighter, it's just calmer, and it's a very nice contrast to this world of demons that quite literally want you all dead. So it's nice to just kind of come home to this little place whenever you want and, talk to your homies and kind of relax for a bit before you go out and fight very tough monsters. So I'm glad I put it here, but I don't know where else to put it. So thank you to the person that reminded me. That is the Demon Haunt 1, composed by Ryota Kazuka in Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance. Go play SMT, free demo. Go, do it now. Up next, we're going to be talking about one of my favorite games, Death's Door and the Hall of Doors, the hub world to where you select your stage. And to me, this is just a game that I love talking about. I will always try to include it whenever I can. It's a game that I stumbled upon on accident just on the PlayStation, like, free demos that they had in a certain month. Gave it a shot. I thought it looked great. Still looks, it's just a really nice, beautiful graphic style. But apparently, since I've never played a Zelda game, it seems to be inspired by like older Zelda titles. I just kind of fell in love with the game. It's just the world, the characters, the humor, the combat. It's just all fun. And by the time you're really getting into it, it's over. It's not the longest game ever. So the Hall of Doors, though, is it's this monochrome kind of world, hub world, where it looks sort of like an MC Escher painting. Everything is distorted. Things are flying around, and it's kind of cool. It's a really cool hub world because not only can you have different levels, so lower or higher, different NPCs you can talk to, you can upgrade your stats and stuff, but also it lets you use new traversal abilities you've acquired in the game. For example, like teleporting to like a lamppost to get to a new area, so that you couldn't reach before. And it's a nice contrast because the whole game has like this really beautiful color palette, full of colors actually, but the hub world is very completely black and white. So I don't know. I just every time I get a chance to talk about this game, and the composer did an amazing job at it. There is, including in this song, there is a motif that goes through the entire game. You're gonna always hear it. This is, I believe, probably the first time. I don't remember if there's a menu screen, but either way, this is the first or one of the first times you hear the main motif of the game, and you're gonna hear it everywhere. It's just starting that familiarity, and Hollow Doors is perfect. It's one of the first games and songs I thought of when I was doing this episode. So this is your reminder to go try out Death's Door. It's not even that expensive. You should just take my word on it. I think you'll have a good time. It's super, super good. Up next, we're going to be talking about the House of Hades from Hades, the only song ever in VGM Vibes history to be repeated. I made a loose rule, I guess, but when I started VGM Vibes, I was like, I don't want to reuse songs because that kind of defeats the purpose of the vibes, but I mean, I guess it's possible that some songs can be in multiple locations, but just for variety's sake, I don't want to do this too often. This was in the Vibes episode of the Spooky Vibes, a Halloween episode I did. And the reason I chose it there, I mean, you can hear what I have to say there. I'm not going to repeat all that, but basically I chose it because, the composer has said that the whole soundtrack reminds him of like Prague Halloween. But it definitely absolutely fits here too. This is the House of Hades. This is your home. But not only that, it's not a spoiler at all, but this is a roguelike game. So in this game, you are meant to die. You are going to die. In fact, you get powered up each time. So the whole point is to get as far as you can. Each time the level change slightly, different enemies, different patterns, different weapons, different builds. It's a really fun, repetitive game. But not repetitive, but like you can play it multiple times. But every time you come back, there's different conversations, different dialogue, different boons, different things you can do, and you get more currency you can do stuff with, and it's really well made. You should definitely not be feeling bad upon losing in this game. It's pretty much meant to happen. You know what I mean? And in order to complete the game, which I did, this is one of the few games that I completed fully. You have to return home a lot, and this is a place you're going to see all the time, especially in your first 30 runs. So anyways, the only song to be featured twice, but I think it deserves it. Darren Korb is a genius. Hopefully one day I play Hades 2. I've owned it now for 2 years. But the House of Hades is incredible. Also, by the way, I made a video about the whole soundtrack of Hades. You should check it out. I'll put it here if I remember. And this song that we're listening to here is really relevant in that video. It's a motif video. So it's my other sub-series called the Game Light Motifs. So yeah, go check that out. The House of Hades from Hades. Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Fawnset Village. The song is actually called Gramps, but it is Fonzet Village. It is the hometown theme of our main character. I'm not going to talk about it too much. There are some spoilers here, but I will say this is one of the more unique songs where a lot of hometown themes play early on in the game. This is well into the game. I don't even know how much. Let's just say 30, 40, 50 hours. I don't know, whatever. But it's well into the chapters. So you're returning home after never being there. You, the player. So it immediately hits you with this feeling of we're back. And the soundtrack, obviously, I can go on forever about Xenoblade and music. For those that don't know, Xenoblade 2 is my favorite of the trilogy, and 2's soundtrack is just it's amazing. But honestly, there's not a whole lot of stuff that sounds like this one. There are some lighter themes, especially in the area that precedes it, but there's just something about Fonzet Village, the day or the night theme, where you just like, wow, they really, really nailed it. And I wish I could talk about it more, but this is just one of those games that, well, I mean, unless you haven't been paying attention to what I do, like in my other channels, I spent like a year and a half just playing Xenoblade. I played one. For those that don't know, Xenoblade is a Nintendo IP RPGs that play sort of like an MMO in a way. It's like an action JRPG, but with like MMO mechanics. It's weird, but it's cool. It's really, really cool. And the whole emphasis on it is like these huge worlds. It kind of makes like the Switch. Like I'm surprised these games play on Switch. I'm being honest. But Monolith Soft does wonders. But Xenoblade 2 has a very special place in my heart. The characters, the story, the locations. I mean, just this thumbnail alone is really cool. Right? It's like, what is this giant whale? What the heck? But without saying much, I love pretty much every song in this game, but Fonzet Village is a very special one. It's one of the easiest ones I thought of when I was making this episode alongside another one. But if you're into really expansive stories and games that are a little on the longer side, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's 3 base games plus 3 DLCs and another game after that. But they're an amazing time that you can only have one time. So it's like I kind of wish sometimes I could erase my memory and start the journey over. But it's so fun watching other people get into Xenoblade because it always does the same thing. It just kind of wins them over, right? So that's why I have all these pins you see on my. I can't even put them up here. All these pins you see on my mic sometimes. Jeez, I'm bad at this. So, yeah. I have too many. Xenoblade is cool, and this is definitely one of the standout songs. And one of the best feelings of home in a video game. One of my favorite games I've played in recent years. I always talk about it if I can. A Hat in Time, one of the best platformer collectathon type games I've played, and it's just so fun and whimsical. I love this game. It's one of the honestly some of the best movement mechanics I've felt. Everything just feels so fluid and just it's amazing. It's basically like decades of collectathon mechanics. And the developers just kind of brought those all together for one thing. Her spaceship is the theme you hear very early on in the game. This game takes place, well, it's kind of hard to say, but it's in her spaceship. She's in command of the spaceship, and that spaceship is like a hub world of just places you can go. The story is actually kind of wholesome. I remember beating this game, and even though there's not like a whole lot of dialogue, she doesn't talk. I remember feeling like kind of on the verge of tears when it ended. Like the last cutscene is pretty like it's almost over. Her spaceship is one of those songs that has a running motif along the whole game. There's a lot of motifs in this game, but her spaceship has one that is prevalent throughout the whole soundtrack. I love the soundtrack. It is incredible. The DLC is incredible. It's a game I love recommending, and for a game that just kind of like appeared out of nowhere. It has stayed with me. You know, I still find Snatcher really funny. The the amount of different types of gameplay there is, it's just, I don't know. I feel like if you ever want a game where you can just kind of turn your brain off and just have like a really fun time, I definitely recommend it. And one of my favorite sections, not my favorite, but if you want to know one of my favorite sections, it's the I'll just kind of leave a hint that it's the sepia tone level with a train. But yeah, Her Spaceship is the song I chose for this episode in A Hat in Time. Shout out Pascal Stifel, the composer. Great stuff. Go play this game. Persona 5 Beneath the Mask. I was unsure if I was going to put this song in here, only because it could definitely fit into the next video that I'm doing, which is the quick world map themes, but we'll talk about it. I'm going to be vague about this, so not to spoil people that have not played Persona 5. I just beat this game for the first time like about a month ago, and actually by the time you're seeing this, the public just saw my like final episode, so people are caught up now. Persona 5 is my introduction to Persona, my second Atlas game, and without getting into too much detail, it just was such a fun, cool time. I put so many hours into this game in such a short amount of time. I beat the whole thing in like 3 weeks, something like that, like almost, basically, let's just say a month. So that's like 3-4 hours daily, you know, like any chance I wasn't editing or something, I was just getting sucked into the world of Persona, and I loved it. I haven't played a game like that before. You know, this calendar system, the story got me right away. There was a lot of relatability. So I'll keep it vague, but I will say, if you've never played Persona, I think it's completely worth the hype. Soundtrack is just alone is incredible, but it's a let me just put it this way: it's a game that kind of tailors to you. You know, not just two people play it the same way. From what I've seen in the comments and just from my own playthrough, everyone plays different. You have your own choices to make. And yeah. But anyways, the song Beneath the Mask is one of the best songs I heard on the channel early on back in 2021 when I was first hearing Persona for the first time. I remember that song like it happened yesterday. And it was nice hearing it in the game right away. It plays very early. This is it kind of plays mostly associated with where your main character resides, let's just say. But also plays in the surrounding area as well. But the cool thing about this song is that it changes depending on a couple of factors like weather, what time of the year, and there's I don't even know how many variances there are. I feel like there's at least 4 different versions of Beneath the Mask, but I would say that this is one of those themes that never gets old. You're going to hear it pretty much every day, every in-game day. It's going to get stuck in your head. It's an incredible song. Lynn is an amazing singer, and this both could work in hometown themes, not so much a hub world, but it could also work as a world map theme. I'm glad I put it here though, because I originally wasn't thinking of putting it in here, but someone said it. I was like, okay, yeah, yeah, makes sense. If you know, you know. But yeah, Persona 5 was just one of the best games I ever played. Which is funny because, I should mention this before I go. I never planned to play this game. This was always a highly requested game for me to play, and I don't go off of like, you know, popularity. I would love to play games that everyone wants me to play, but this came down to a timing thing where I hit 100,000 subscribers, which still sounds crazy. And I was like, you know what? Let me do something special for the fans. And Persona 5, for the past like 4 or 5 years, every time I uploaded a video from it, it always had huge numbers, always did well. I'm like, okay, let me just do it for them. Anyways, Beneath the Mask, one of the best songs in the game. You're going to hear all the time, and it is definitely home. Up next is a game called Shantae and the Pirate's Curse. Never played it. I saw a little bit of footage of it, getting some research for this video. It looks pretty cool. It looks like this kind of 2D adventure game, composed by Jake Kaufman. We're going to read some of the comments here. By the way, when I reacted to it, I was really impressed. I thought it just sounded really, really good. So that's kind of my 2 cents. But let's see what's going on here. Long-time supporter, Alkaline Clockwork. We Love Burning Town does play in Shantae's hometown, which is called Scuttletown. The game straight up starts with her town being attacked after she loses her genie powers, hence the track name. Not counting the menu, it's effectively the first tune you hear in the game, and it's a recurring theme in almost every single Shantae entry, sole exception being 7 Sirens as it takes place elsewhere, each having a different arrangement of it. It's a recurring song. J2O Juiced. Burning Town is pretty much the Shantae song, as it's used in and around her hometown Scuttletown and has appeared in almost every game in the series. It's usually used whenever Scuttletown is under attack, so it's less of a traditional town theme and more like everything's on fire theme. Whoops. Nah, it fits. And from SD Hero, the Burning Town track basically appears remixed in every game, though with different names such as We Love Burning Town Neo, and in the latest release where the town serves as a tutorial area that is not on fire, it's called Learnin' Town. I like that. By the way, when I got these, I kind of like skimmed the comments, so I'm like half reading it for the first time, half kind of, so this is actually kind of cool. I like this so far. Saves me a lot of time, and I get so many comments on these videos that it's like a perfect way to just like, rehash them. So yeah, that is We Love Burning Town from Shantae and the Pirate's Curse. It sounds really good. I really recommend just listening to the song. Up next, we'll be listening to Dark Souls 2 Majula, composed by Motoi Sakuraba, one of the best composers I've heard on the channel, and he'll be a feature in a future episode that I'm not going to talk about yet. So this game was released in 2014. From Software obviously is just all over the place now. It's kind of like a mainstay. It's almost like its own genre, So it was really nice hearing this song because it was way different from what I'm used to. When I hear FromSoft, I'm thinking like demonic choirs and stuff. So it was really nice hearing this sort of lighter side and seeing the visuals along with it. But let's see what the people are saying because I've never played Dark Souls 2 or any FromSoft. First from Ninja Fox, my old mod. Such a homely song. Dark Souls 2 is my favorite in the series. The sub is for me the most beautiful, sad, and chill to come back to. Shout out Ninja Fox. From, sorry if I butcher anyone's names, Nidrox. Dark Souls 2 is interesting because it focuses a lot on normal people having to deal with the undead curse. It's been so long since it first appeared that nobody remembers the gods responsible for it. Anyone afflicted starts gradually losing their memory. They wander endlessly until they eventually wind up in Majula, drawn to the land of Drangleic, like moths to a flame, not really knowing why. A blacksmith is searching for his daughter, a salesman trying to start a new business, a laddersmith with a criminal past. All these diverse people have banded together and created a community in this forgotten village. But despite the comfort they provide each other, they are all missing large chunks of themselves, taken from them by the curse. This is why this theme is somehow both calming and unsettling at the same time. Whoa. Again, this was kind of when I kind of like skimmed over. So, just a side note here, that's the most lore I've ever received on any FromSoft stuff. If you notice on any of my FromSoft reaction videos, I'm always like, I have no idea if these games even have lore or anything. So that's a pretty cool little synopsis there. So I'm actually kind of glad. But yeah, when I chose these comments, I don't know how I'm gonna do it in the future. It was a mixture of stuff, you know, whether it was like a long comment, I had a lot of attention on it, or I had like no attention, or I just saw like frequent commenters, people subscribe for 1 day, 4 years, just kind of whatever, you know. But as long as I saw like the first sentence was like, okay, this looks interesting, then yeah. From Onyx Oblivion, Majula is the definitive FromSoft hub. Even most Dark Souls 2 haters love this place, and this song is a big part of why. Dark Souls 2 haters, let me know why that's a thing. From Mar Marine, I think the most interesting thing about Majula and its theme is it also has noticeable ambience when you're in game. The hamlet is atop a cliff overlooking the sea ocean. You can hear the water hitting the cliffs below, a gentle sea breeze washing over the area. Majula is one of the most unforgettable locations in the franchise. While it might be the echo chamber I am locked within on the internet, what I usually hear is Dark Souls 2 is the least liked, with 1 or 3 being much preferred, and that those who love Dark Souls 2 are effectively a loud minority, whether or not it's true. The town starts with few inhabitants. Broken people inhabit the few structures. This place is essentially full of despair. But the song kind of plays as an antithesis to this. It is trying to plant a seed of hope. You, the bearer of the curse. As you progress the game, it slowly fills with life, and you bring hope to the people that started there. You show that in this dreary and drab world, there's still somewhere safe for people to call home. Majula and its theme gives very much the beginning of something vibes to me. Ooh. I'm just side note, the more I'm doing this, the more I'm gonna think this is a really good feature. I'm patting myself on the back here because I've always been very proud of my comment section, because it's a whole lot less of typical video game like discourse, this game sucks or whatever. It's just people just sharing memories with, you know, what the music did to them, or like, you know. So I don't know, this is just really cool. I try to read every single one, but you know, this is gonna be a good way for me to really focus in on someone. So all right, cool. Well, that is surprisingly not the lore I expected from this, but very nice. Dark Souls 2, Majula. The Stanley Parable, exploring Stanley. Bet you weren't expecting this one here. Neither was I, actually. Whenever I do VGM vibes, I always have this kind of like master list I look at of every game I've ever played that I'm aware of. Also, my backlog page, if you look at my link tree, excuse me, there's a list of every game that I played to my knowledge. Sometimes I do reviews there too. I was like, you know, let's see what I've played, and I was like, oh, it's Stanley Parable. This game is hard to explain. It's one of those games where I don't like to talk too much about it. Because it's best experienced just not knowing anything. All I could really say without like, I'll say this: it's funny, it's an experience, it's a first person experience. You are, man, because I don't like write scripts for these, so I'm just trying to like. It's a humorous game about decisions and your workplace, and it's a game that really rewards exploring and trying stuff. It's a game with a narrator, so that's kind of interesting, and it's actually a huge part of the game, probably the biggest part of the game. But anyways, the song, I was like, you know, do I put this here? Then I thought about it. I'm like, when am I ever going to have a chance to talk about Stanley Parable? It's a game that I heard about back in like 2013 or 14, around that time. It has since become a little bit of a kind of a. I've noticed it's become a recommended game to watch people react to. Like it's great for a first time playthrough to watch, because it's just, I don't want to say too much. Sorry, I'm just trying to think without. I don't want to spoil it because when I played it for the first time, I was just like, "What the hell is happening?" But also laughing my ass off the whole time. There's a sequel too, which I only played like the first 10 minutes, and I didn't feel the same. It just was like, nah. I'm sure it's great, but I just never really gave it a shot. But this song is basically, if you want to call it a song, it's more like a thinking piece. It's kind of hometown. It's kind of hub world. I'm kind of like stretching it here, but those that have played this game will instantly recognize those first couple of notes. It's not that this game doesn't even have like a huge soundtrack either. It feels like there's one song the whole time, but it's beautiful in its own way. It's diegetic. It's basically like you're kind of, I was gonna say like playing through a comic book, but that's not very accurate. I'll just say this: try the game out, or watch someone play through of it, and odds are your favorite streamer or someone has recorded a playthrough of it. Um, yeah, the only time I'll probably ever get to talk about Stanley Parable on this channel because I can't think of any other reason. Maybe puzzle themes someday. I don't know. Exploring Stanley from Stanley Parable. Up next is The Streets of Whiterun from the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, a series of games that I've rarely have touched upon. I think I don't even know, dude. I think it's been like 3 times total on the channel. One I definitely remember. Actually, I remember every single instance. The first one, the Dragonborn song, that was iconic. Just reminded me of Final Fantasy 15. And then the other time I remember was also for VGM vibes. It was the cold snow episode. That was the first episode where I had a cameo guest. So I just remember that one too. And then this one, the song to me just sounded just angelic and free and very open. So I couldn't wait to see the comment on this one. And on this instance, we have the requester themselves, which of course I'll always try to include in this. But let's see. From Yoshi, the requester. I requested Secunda and Streets of Whiterun mostly because they're among the most comforting video game songs for me, both for different reasons. While Secunda feels a bit more like comforting solitude, Streets of Whiterun just feels like being in your comfort place and feeling all warm and cozy, which is exactly a feeling that feels perfect for home. Just one of the most warm sounding sounds out there. Isn't that kind of ironic considering it's like a cold place? In Skyrim, there isn't necessarily music tied to specific places, but rather you have music for towns, wilderness, taverns, dungeons, etc. And Streets of Whiterun is part of the town theme set, while still being also for the city of Whiterun itself. In Skyrim, Whiterun is one of the largest cities, located pretty much in the center of the map. Going to it serves as the first big quest after finishing the introduction of the game. The city is also very pivotal to the story and quest of the game, so it's also a location that probably the most the visited by many players. In addition to all that, you can buy a house in that city to actually make it your home in the game, making you return to it even more often to Whiterun. So in that sense, the song is just perfect for the home vibe. Based on the comments I've seen, I feel like many would agree with this. So thank you, Yoshi. Up next from Arcos Regent. Whiterun, I think, is named for the river that goes by. It pours down the snowy mountains surrounding the tundra, and the town sits midst it all. This music really sets the theme, much beauty and familiarity, but the end of the song gives a slight feeling of discontent. In a country in civil war and beset by dragons, the moments of peace are fleeting, but they hit hard. Nothing quite like hearing far horizons play as you stare up the aurora over the snow. Man, I can see why this game is like a dedicated following. The way people talk about it is just so enchanting to me. From Mecha Maya, Skyrim is a very non-linear game, but usually, if you follow the main quest, Whiterun is the first large town that a player visits, and so a lot of people identify with it as a very nostalgic location. You can even earn a home of your own there that you can decorate and live in. So it quite literally is going to be home to some people. From Dugumfort, bro, there's nothing like walking through Whiterun for the first time, hearing these songs, and looking up at the night sky. Really leads to wonderful memories and reinforces how romantic the Elder Scrolls can be with their worlds. High praise. By the way, I just wanted to give a shout out to the channel that I got this footage from, Ambient Worlds. I wish they had a video for every game ever, because I just wish there was more channels like this where you can just kind of experience like a kind of POV of said place without playing the game. Because even though I never played it, watching that video just made me, kind of appreciate it in my own way. So it is the Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim. Xenoblade Chronicles. With a song title like this, of course, it was going to be here, Hometown, Day or Night. Not to be confused with a song called Colony 9, which very well could have fit here too. But I just chose one. Where do I even start with this one? Well, I'll start with Say at the Beginning, which is fitting for this song, because it plays at the very beginning of the game. Not the first song you hear, but one of the first, like, 3. This was actually going to be the number 1 pick, like the one that kind of inspired the episode. Because it was, but it wasn't so clear cut. There was a couple of songs that made me think of the episode. But since the theming of this is, chronological or descending order, we gotta talk about it now. This game is where the whole adventure begins. It's one of those themes. But there's a song that plays right before it, and that's Colony 9, which is like the surrounding area. But as soon as you walk into your hometown plays. And hometown is it's literally what like the entire feel of this episode is about. I think this is one of the most clear examples of a hometown theme. This is where your characters are from. You have your shops, you have your NPCs, your neighbors, your friends you grew up with, your job next door. A lot of stuff happens here. I can't even say anything. The Xenoblade is a game that I just will never spoil. But there's something too that I really want to mention, but I can't at all. And if you played the trilogy, you know exactly what I want to say about this song, but I can't. But I will just say that it's one of the most perfect songs that I could have chose. I love both versions, day and night, and it really does feel like it, especially if you fire up this game after playing the second or third or any of them, and then you come back and you get that like wave of nostalgia. Whether it's your first time hearing it or you come back to it, the hometown theme is quite literally perfect, as the name states. Up next, we're going to be talking about Nier Replicant. If you played that one, this is Song of the Ancients. And without getting way into it, the song is very, very important. But it's also your hometown theme. One of the first songs you hear when you are just coming out of the intro scene and you're just exploring these grassy knolls and this little shopping center and meeting all the NPCs and doing all these tiny side quests. This song is pretty cool because it exists in multiple versions. I don't even know how many. At least 4. There's some with vocals, depending on if someone is there. There's some that are instrumental. There's a duet. It's a song that is very important to this game and may or may not appear in other games. But Song of the Ancients is just one of those songs that immediately is like, you can tell as soon as you hear it, it's like, this is a standout song. I felt that way early on in the game without even hearing the rest of the soundtrack, right? It's one of those, you know it's going to be powerful. You know you're going to start humming it along. And you know every time you come back to it, because it is, well, I guess it is kind of a hub world. Sort of. I don't know. Because you find yourself coming back here a lot. Well, either way, every time you come back through those gates and you hear the doom, 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 it just feels like this sense of calm that doesn't exist in too many places in this game. But it exists here. So I definitely had to put it in here. I love Emmy Evans' voice. Her voice sounds like a blanket. And of course, you know, I love Nier. It's just one of the best musical experiences. If you ever have a chance to see the music live, I know they're currently on tour right now. You should check right now if they're playing near you. Super worth it. Amazing. Play Nier. But yeah, that is Song of the Ancients from Nier. Up next, we have Welcome to the Magic Workshop from Monokemia, Alchemist of Al Revis, part of the Atelier series. A lot of requests for this, and still a lot of pending too. Mostly from one person who I'm going to be reading off here, the requester. So shout out Cabe Bedlam. Monokemia has a pretty cool soundtrack. I definitely recommend it. It's got a bit of whimsical, a bit of fantasy, and sometimes even metal stuff. So it's pretty all over the place. I've never played it, so I'm going to read off what this is, starting now. The workshop in Monokemia acts as the hub for all of the crafting in the game, and since the entire gameplay loop revolves around going into dungeons, exploring, and gathering resources, then coming back home to craft those resources into new and exciting items, you'll be spending a lot of time there. The workshop is where your main save point is, and on top of being the place for you to do crafting is where you get to interact with your party members and work on their character quest across the game. Oh, okay. I see now. The area even changes visually over time as you add more members to your party, reflecting the various items brought in with them and what your crew is probably making in their free time. Funnily enough, despite the game taking place on a school campus and having the dorms as one of its locations you can go to, the workshop is the place where you spend 99% of your free time and is the one place on campus to get unique music. Every Atelier game is a bit different with its setup, but the one unifying feature across all of them is that you'll be spending quite a bit of time in the workshop cooking away at something or other. So they really work on nailing the vibe and making it feel like home. This is interesting because it makes it feel like it's both home and a hub world. Reading that, it really reminded me of kind of a combination of two games on this list. Kind of reminded me of the Demon Haunt from SMT, but also reminded me of it's not a spoiler, but it's like a very early mechanic you get in Xenoblade, where you're like crafting gems. You know, you're kind of like making those, but it's not a huge like you could totally skip it. Where in this game it feels like it's pretty much required. Okay, cool. So it's like that's interesting. It never really occurred to me that there might be a mixture of home and hub worlds. But here we go. Let me see what else people are saying. From Grim0511. Between a quiet giddiness and welcome to the Magic Workshop, the contrast of the two is amazing for where they play. Welcome to our Magic Workshop plays for 80% of the game when you're in your workshop. When you near the end of the game and tensions are at their highest in the story, a quiet giddiness now plays throughout the school. The story is coming to a close soon, and you got to see it through the end. Oh, I think that's the song I paired it with. Monokemia itself is a very unique title in the Atelier series. It is all focused on going to the school of the Al Revis Academy. You are an upcoming alchemist, and you spend 3 years making friends and learning to become an alchemist who can help the world. This game is on PS2, and there was a port on the PSP called Student Alliance. Today I learned. Definitely my favorite in the series and where I started in the Atelier series. Huh. Okay. Is there any... Oh, I think there's one more in here. From a pretty dude. Funny thing about all the characters you mentioned at the top of the screen and those icons represent the turn order of characters, enemies, empty slots, and ally enemy spells that periodically trigger once cast. One of my fave characters in the game even has a gimmick where all his abilities interact with these cards to do things like make ally cards move quicker, place purge, spell cards from the deck, etc. Atelier games have deceptively fun and addictive gameplay loops. Yeah, so if you notice when I got these like comments, I wanted to get a mixture of like talking about the game, talking about the song itself, because it's the closest I'll get to playing some of these games. Because if I was to play every single thing that I heard, I would just be here until I'm 200 years old. So thank you to all the commenters. And that is Monokemia. Welcome to the Magic Workshop. Up next is Happy Town? Question mark from Mother 3. It's funny how red this image is like showing on my face. Before I say anything, I just want to say that this is such a good sounding game, and it's a handheld. I don't know, it just has an amazing sound file. So even though I've only heard like 2% of the soundtrack, I highly recommend that people check it out. It just sounds cool as hell, you know. But I don't know what's going on here, so let's read. Let's read. From Santino J. Bolanos, you asked about the symbolism of the wood on the letters, right? For a spoiler-free context, the story has one of its themes be the conflict of technology versus nature. I was confused about that, so thank you. From the Waffle Factory, it's a cool name. Mother 3 is such a tearjerker. It got a good 4 cries out of me. I used to play the fan translation cartridge on my Game Boy Advance while waiting for clothes to wash dry in the laundromat. Easily my favorite JRPG on the GBA. The Mother series OST is so damn good. Earthbound and Mother 3 had a lot of interesting samples for songs too. If I recall correctly, Earthbound's cartridge was physically heavier because of the larger boards inside so they could have the expansive OST that I had. References to the Beatles and Beach Boys and Cars. Is that true? Was it chunky? And then from MF Mega 0 X7. As another commenter mentioned, Happy Town is not that warm because of where it sits in the story. Mother 3 is, amongst other things, a critique of modernity. Happy Town is the version of the hometown theme that is after it has been modernized, right? Modernized? I have this really, small text, along with all the problems that go with that. Oh, I guess that kind of correlates back to the logo, huh? It is in some ways the same town, but in many ways it also feels alien and melancholic. I think it's worth comparing to the pre-modernization town theme. Oh, I don't think I heard that. Oh, okay. I recommend taking a listen to Mom's Hometown 2 at some point for comparison. Is that it? I might actually do that. That sounds kind of cool. As for the titles, because I've asked this multiple times, Mother 1, Earthbound 0, Mother 2, Earthbound, and then Mother 3 is just Mother 3. So thanks for that. Hopefully I can remember that, but okay, well, I'm kind of interested in that Mom's Hometown, but okay, yeah. For as little as I've heard of Mother 3, dude, I couldn't believe that it was a Game Boy Advance. Like, it just sounds so good. But I'm thankful that people. Oh, you know what? Now that I read all that, I guess that was one of my biggest questions. Like, why is there a question mark at the end of the song title? I guess that explains why. Okay. I love learning stuff even as I'm making these videos. Because the whole point of Vibes was like, I already kind of like know what's going on and I can talk about it. But when it comes to these games that I don't know, I kind of like this approach better of just reading the comments. And yeah. Anyways, that is Mother 3 Happy Town. Up next, we have a game called La-Mulana, which was a remake, and the song was Mr. Explorer. I just gotta say this really quick, even though I don't know anything about this game. This song, or this reaction, is gonna stick with me. Like, these songs sounded so good, and I'm kind of interested in hearing the original. But apparently it's this kind of like really, really tough puzzle game, kind of Metrovania looking, and as you can see, a little Indiana Jones inspired, but I think it goes way deeper than that. But really, the sound font was incredible. From Cybele VG, this is an evil, amazing puzzle game. I played it without any guides a number of years ago, and I have a 30-page Word doc and 20-some man-made maps to go with it. One of my most treasured game experiences ever. Oh man, it kind of reminds me of like writing like codes on paper or something like that. From Zen Kiran. The in-universe music matches the backstory that the ruins of La-Mulana is where humanity originated from before spreading across the globe. Because of this, the areas and their music drastically change tone and culture. Mr. Explorer plays in the hub town area, and Fearless Challenger plays in the first area. That was the other song I heard with it. Which eschews anyone culture in favor of generic, mysterious ruins. I've never seen that word before. The ruins also inherently have aspects of every ancient human culture, so other areas can feel Central American, Aztec/Mayan, Egyptian, Mesopotamian, even biblical. It results in area themes having wildly drastic moods between them to match as well. You have more songs to listen to, so I won't say any bigger spoilers for it. But if you keep that in mind, you'll be able to match the area theme to the culture it's taking from. And we have a huge comment here. Let's see. Where do I start? It's from WordWad. Whew, got a lot to comment on here, so I hope you don't mind a few small walls of text. First off, you asked if there was meaning to the name La-Mulana. There is, and it's actually one of my favorite game names as a result. I can't go into too much detail on this without giving away too many spoilers. And the story of La-Mulana is shockingly good. But in the fictional language of the game, la-mulana means the mother. An extremely fitting name for the game on a huge number of levels. Like again, once you've learned what the plot of this game is all about, it really clicks into place. In addition to that, it's also the name of the guy who created the game, backwards. Takumi Naramura. In Japanese, Naramura is written with 4 letters, Naramura. Reverse them and you get Ra-mu-ra-na, or La-Mulana. Okay, I think it's getting in depth now. The reason you haven't heard of the developer or the composer is because La-Mulana is an indie game, but it's one of the most prominent indie games of its time. While indie gaming really exploded in the 2010s, back in the 2000s, it was still kind of niche, with some exceptions. You've had your Toho games, you had Higurashi, When They Cry, and Yumineko, When They Cry. You had Cave Story, and you had La-Mulana. So no, it's not really that obscure of a game, it's just underground, you might say. It's not something as widely known as a AAA title, but in the realm of modern-ish retro-inspired indie gaming, I'd say it's unquestionably one of the top 5 most well-known titles pre-2010. And for good reason, it's an absolutely outstanding game on every level. As for MSX, I happen to be a huge MSX collector. I think that's where the games originated from. And let me tell you, there's not just one sound chip when it comes to MSX. The MSX standard was born in 1983 and remained relevant in Japan clean into the late 90s, with a robust indie scene that persisted well beyond that and continues to this very day. And since the standard lasted as long as it did, it went through numerous iterations and upgrades. 4 big ones: MSX1, 2, 2 Plus, and MSX Turbo R. That saw its capabilities as a gaming system grow from something pre-NES. MSX was about on par with, say, ColecoVision from the early 80s, to something considerably more powerful than an NES. The Turbo R iteration is almost on par with the TurboGrafx 16 in terms of what it can do. Man, this person needs their own YouTube channel. Maybe they do, I don't know. This holds true for the sound of the MSX as well. Early MSX1 games only had a 3-channel PSG audio chip to work with, similar to what the Sega Master System had. But then, as the standard grew, an FM sound chip was added, bringing its musical capabilities up to roughly Sega Genesis standards. Konami also developed a specialized sound chip, and they embedded it into a lot of their cartridge releases from the MSX2, most famously Metal Gear 2 and the Snatcher games. Oh, okay. Which sounds a lot more robust than the base PSG chip, but very different from the later FM chip. And then as time went on, a different FM chip was developed for the standard that you can install via a special sound card on a cartridge. What the heck? Then a sample-based 16-bit audio chip comparable to the Super Nintendo's was developed on top of that. Why was it so... Wow, okay. And eventually MIDI and PCM support were added as well, with the Turbo R upgrade. What the heck? So bottom line, there's not just one sound you get from an MSX. At its worst, it's beeps and boops that aren't even up to NES standards, but at its best, it can produce incredible sounds and voices that rival what even the Super Nintendo could pull off. That's crazy. Which brings us back to the original indie La-Mulana from 2005. Naramura and his friends were heavily inspired by the works of Konami on the system, so the sound they went for was a specialized sound chip Konami developed and used in games like Metal Gear 2 and Snatcher. As a result, while it does still sound like chiptunes, it's more robust than what you might actually typically hear on the NES. For this remake version, they did remake the music as well, but still kept it a bit retro in feel. No longer specifically bound by MSX restrictions, but I'd say the music in the game remains well within the bounds of what the MSX could do if you gave it the right hardware upgrades. This is the most reading I've done in a long time. And yes, La-Mulana was partially inspired by Indiana Jones. There's even a point in the story where when protagonist Lamenza reunites with his estranged father, Sean, who's very clearly modeled and named after Sean Connery. But the whip was also much inspired by Simon Belmont's in Castlevania, because yes, the MSX2 had a very unique version of Castlevania on offer, and that was very much a source of inspiration here alongside many, many other Konami MSX games. In case you guys needed a reason to, not to toot my own horn, but the comment sections on some of my videos can get, like, this isn't like too uncommon. You know, people really go out because, I don't know, you know, like I said, with video game music, like, this stuff is like really, there wasn't many places to talk about it besides like forums and just random like obscure places on the internet. But you know what I mean? Like, this is kind of how I felt when I was listening to it in my CD player on the school bus, you know, putting in PS1 discs and hoping I would hear music out of them or something. It's like I felt like such a stranger, and I don't know, it just seems like I was barely scratching the surface. So I don't know, it's really cool that I would never otherwise know any of this stuff. So I don't know, that's a really cool comment. So anyways, a lot of history apparently. I thought it sounded amazing. I can't wait to hear more from this game. I do want to hear the original too, but I heard the remake version. Whew. Thank you to the commenters. Okay, well, that is La-Mulana with Mr. Explorer. Up next, we have a game that I've been trying to put on the Vibe series for a while. Trails in the Sky, or Sora no Kiseki. The Trails games, Legend of Heroes, right? There's a lot of them. They get kind of confusing. There's a lot of remakes, and the names are all over the place, and I'll always confuse them. But I feel like a lot of their music can fit in these Vibes episode. So we're listening to the provincial city of Roland. I've never played this game. A lot of people said I would like this game. And we're going to start off with a Patreon comment from Raging God Mandalorian. So for provincial city of Roland, it's basically the main character's hometown. It's pretty small, homey little place in the corner of the game's country. Basically, the boonies where the main characters of the game do their first set of training and where the tutorial of the game takes place before the game actually begins. There really isn't all that much to do there except for visit a mine and a forest dungeon nearby and visit one shop, which is the first shop in the game. You go to buy a newspaper as the game teaches you about the money system. And then from, is it Siverites or Siverites? Sorry. The song is so nostalgic feeling to me. The second game came out around 5 to 6 months after I originally finished the first, and when you return to Roland in the second game, I was just slammed with nostalgia, despite only being introduced a half year previously. Honestly, one of my favorite songs in Sky. It's so warm, but yeah, first town in the game and the main character's hometown. Roland is the capital of the province of Roland in the kingdom of Liberal, and it's a mountainous and forested area, very rural. I will say that when I heard this song, I immediately got what I was looking for when it came to this episode. I think this song is one of those just like the crowd, the people really understood the assignment of like what I wanted from a hometown theme. So I definitely suggest listening to this one because if you want to feel like home, even if you never played this game, it just completely sounds like it. Up next we have a song from Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, the starting town, Little Root Town. Song I found very interesting because it's going to be related to something I'm going to talk about a little later. But it was really cool hearing the song. It gave me a very similar feeling to something, and even visually too. But since I've never played it, I've only played Gen 1. I'm going to read a couple comments here. First one from Donald Kennison245. Little Root Town is probably the ultimate hometown Pokemon theme for me. Not even nostalgia, it just sounds so emotional and lively for a home theme in any video game. Like you can always return back to humble beginnings at Little Root. And then we got a big comment here from Captain Stack. This track conjures up a lot of specifics for me, especially bittersweet feelings. One common thread that I feel like applies to all Starter Town tracks in Pokemon is that they often use repeated phrases with slightly tweaked different notes. Like the first phrase in the basic key, then the second rendition throws in a couple flats or something. This pairs so well with the mixed emotions that need to accompany the comfort of home, plus the springboard into leaving home and starting an adventure. Coming back to the Starter Town and hearing the music also fits the mixed emotions that nostalgia and homesickness bring when you recognize that you're still on your journey. For the Little Root theme, there's an added layer from the game's premise is that you begin the game in the back of your family's moving van. The first two games begin where you already have been living, but Gen 3 starts you out having just moved into a new home, followed immediately afterwards by you setting off on your adventure. Oh. For me, it's impossible to split the nostalgia of this music from the imagery of a kid riding to a new home surrounded by boxes, then seeing the light flood in once the door to the truck is thrown open. It's almost like the third games in the franchise. Nintendo knows that the player, not the characters, will feel like they're in a sort of liminal space. That seeing yet another hometown needs to be paired with the mixed emotions that come with a kid who's had to move several times already. And yet they also ground you by calling your new home Little Root, and introduce the concept of a family member also serving as a gym leader in the region. It's a very detailed message. For me personally, there's another layer in that overall, I have very mixed feelings for the Gen 3 OST. Nintendo absolutely hamstrung the GBA's audio processing hardware by apparently just not including any. So the combination of half-assed bitrate plus a sound font that I've never been a fan of left me disappointed compared to the crispness of the 8-bit entries. I've never quite felt the same about Pokemon games since Gens 1 and 2. Even before Gen 3 came out, I was nervous about how the game looked in screenshots, with the soft colors making it look like everything was made of different flavors of ice cream. So once this track turned out to be the very first one out the gate, when I played it, it served as a perfect introduction and comfort that the franchise still knew how to tap into the right emotions. As a pleasant surprise, I basically forgot what this music sounded like as I played the game, and once I circled back much later and started a new save file on another card, I was blown away by the flood of dormant nostalgia for Little Root, and reminded just how much some tracks from the OST genuinely do hit, and that set me up for learning how to appreciate the rest of the game's soundtrack. Also, I adore the entirety of the remake's OST on the 3DS, so that really just tells me that my issues with it only stemmed from the composer not being given nearly enough hardware to work with. This is my comment section. So, wow, okay, so that's really interesting that you move into this place and then immediately set off. Now I'm actually really curious how this game starts off. I guess a question for me. I know there's the Indigo League anime. Were there always animes with every gen, or did they stop at a certain point? And if so, which one did they stop with? Because I'm at the point where I might start watching the animes instead of playing the games, because they seem like they would be shorter. I don't know. That's a really cool premise, though. You know, and as someone who has some experience with Gen 1, it's interesting to hear this take on it. Also, the fact that it has like some criticism involved too. Not every comment I have is going to be like just glazing everything, so interesting. Wonder if anyone else agrees with that, but very well put. Awesome. That is Little Root Town from Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. We are now going to be listening to Traverse Town from Kingdom Hearts, a song that I believe makes appearances in different games. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure. Yoko Shimomura, one of my favorite composers, and this isn't a game that I have on my radar, which is weird because I do like Square and I grew up with Disney movies, but I think I'm just currently RPG'd out, so maybe one day, but it's not a huge priority at the moment. But I definitely love all the music that comes from this game. It's very magical, I guess I could say, including the song. It feels and sounds like a fireplace to me. That's the way I could put it. Anyways, some comments from the people. The German Wizard. Traverse Town. It is a world you visit a few times in Kingdom Hearts for story alone. It is a world that started existing as a place for people who lost their world to the Heartless. Heartless are darkness made manifest, and they basically kill people by taking their metaphorical hearts, their souls. Worlds have such a soul as well. That is how they destroy worlds. A few Final Fantasy characters just so happen to be stranded in Traverse Town as well, although their world wasn't destroyed yet, only taken over by Disney villains. There are some other NPCs that don't seem to belong to any Disney or Final Fantasy world, to reinforce that Traverse Town is where people get stranded when their world disappears. The Kingdom Hearts 3D version of this place is a little different, but it seems to still serve a similar purpose. KH3D is also called Dream Drop Distance. 3D was attached to its original release on the 3DS. They dropped that in the HD collection for PC and consoles, though. I think that's the most lore I've received about Kingdom Hearts and like the premise of its story. I always was curious on like how Kingdom Hearts came to be. It sounds a little more violent than I thought. I guess I misunderstood. Like, is this not just like a rated E game? I don't know. Maybe it's rated T. But it sounds kind of dark. Up next from Prince Genek. Traverse Town is not necessarily a hub area that connects to others, but it's sort of a place where wayward traveling people find themselves. It's a place you find yourself often. Kingdom Hearts might seem like a silly Disney game, but it's 100% a Square passion project. Has some of the best music you'll ever hear in a game, plus one of the most addictive gameplay battle mechanics ever. The songs you've reacted to on your channel haven't even scratched the surface of top tier tracks from more Kingdom Hearts. Well, that's scary because I've been listening to Kingdom Hearts since 2021. Just how much more is there? Actually, don't answer that. And finally from Megadeth Adams. Oh yeah, I remember this comment. I like this one. Used to go on nightly walks way back in my old hometown while listening to Traverse in Trance. There used to be a small plaza section that had classic lanterns on the side of the building. I walked past on the way home. It was always comforting during those walks. The plaza has long since been demolished, but I always think of those nights whenever I listen to the song. I feel like a lot of us have memories or experiences like this with video game music. As someone who listens to it all the time while I'm, you know, walking IRL, like that's really cool. One day I'll see what's up with this series, but for now I'm enjoying listening to the music. I'm enjoying the combination of like Square epic tracks and like the Disney side where it sounds all magical and whimsical. So I will say though, this is definitely one of the more homely sounding songs on the list. So I'm really glad I got to hear it, and that is Traverse Town from Kingdom Hearts. Up next we have Paper Mario and Toad Town from the N64 and the Origami King versions. Heard of this not too long ago, and I do agree that it also sounds like home. It's a very, very good pick. So, since I've never played it, I've only played one game, and that is Super Mario 64. That was not even that long ago. It was like a month and a half ago. So there's still a lot of Mario that I need to experience. For this one, Josh says, Toad Town, at least the first one, is the hub world of the game, which functions as a place where you reach every other location in the game. Paper Mario is a turn-based RPG developed by Intelligent Systems, which is most known for Fire Emblem. The first three Paper Mario games... I never thought of that. The first three Paper Mario games are the best. I'm actually not sure if the future games were developed by Intelligent Systems, but it's one of the more interesting Nintendo partnerships. Wait, what? It's a turn-based RPG? Paper Mario? Man, I'm learning stuff all the time. I thought it was just like a side-scrolling adventure. I thought there was no other RPGs besides Super Mario RPG. Okay, well, we're learning stuff. Next from Quintendo 3DS. Paper Mario 64 Toad Town sounds like a whole childhood condensed into one hometown. I love that. The Berserker Lord. Technically, Toad Town is both a hub world and a hometown theme. It is the central location from which you branch out into every other part of the game, but it's also sort of where Mario and Luigi live. Their house is in a little forest grove just outside and connected via warp pipe, but it's close enough that it could be considered their town as well. It's also commonly established to be right outside the grounds of Peach's castle. So there's a little connectivity for you. Oh, we're breaking the fourth wall here. As for the Origami King version, it's pretty much exactly what you thought. I don't remember what I said. The streamers are each major chapter you need to complete, and the town theme gets gradually more lively. Oh, okay, yeah. In celebration of your progress. And to my recollection, that little motif is indeed the main theme of the Origami King. You seemed a little confused, but to clarify, the Origami King is an entirely separate game from the original Paper Mario, not a remake. Oh. Toad Town just tends to be a recurring location on Mario RPGs in general, for the reasons stated above. That's a great comment, but also I just realized, I wonder how many other instances on this exact list I have, besides the Mana Khemia one, where these hub worlds, like, they change as the game goes on, like, you know, aesthetically. I didn't really think about that, but that's really cool. From Brenelkas, it wasn't in the video, but a cool fact that the song is dynamic. It plays slightly differently in certain parts of the town. Okay. Well, people have a lot of good things to say about Paper Mario, let me tell you. There was a lot of comments for these videos, and I really enjoyed both of them. So, as far as my Mario journey, my next one is Super Mario Odyssey. Yeah, later this year, so I can't wait. You know, I'm just starting, so... I have a feeling that there's going to be a lot of songs that sound like home when it comes to Mario, because these games have connected gamers to video games for, what, like 4 decades now? So, anyways, thanks for the submissions, and that was Toad Town from Paper Mario. Up next, we have Grandia 2, Carbo Village. Game I know nothing about, but Grandia has had a little bit of a history on the channel. I remember one of my best IRL friends, might have been the first Grandia request, or second or something, but I remember hearing it way back then. But there hasn't been many instances of hearing Grandia on the channel. I don't think there's been many, maybe 5 or less. So I need to hear more. So I was definitely excited to have this one. You know, when people suggest these songs, it's really dependent on my mood, right? It could be a number of things. It has a lot of attention. People are interacting with it. They're sharing their memories with it. I haven't featured it in a while, or I haven't featured it ever. You know, it just whatever. So when I saw Grandia, I was like, ooh, yeah, let's give it a shot. Since I haven't played it, I'm going to read off some comments. From Issa, we have Grandia 2 Carbo Village. This is the hometown theme for Elena, the main supporting character rather than the main character, Ryudu. Carbo Village is tucked into a forest. It has a church that worships a god named Granus, to whom Elena is a priestess of. While you do meet other characters with hometown themes, I purposely chose this one because it is the most memorable, and Ryudu does not really have a real hometown theme, from what I can remember. Interesting. The game starts at Carbo Village. Ryudu arrives to the villages as a geomancer, think mercenary, and has taken a job to help out Elena and the local Granus church perform a ritual. Grandia 2 is one of my favorite JRPGs. Its story gets very dark really quick. The music is great, favorite turn-based system, and the characters are some of my favorites. It's one of my most influential RPGs. Some stuff has not held up well, but it's still a fantastic game to try. I'll continue to request more of my favorite Grandia and Grandia Extreme music. Thanks for listening and enjoying this. Sure. Okay, well, I didn't realize this game gets dark. Why does that suddenly interest me? From X Chrono. Without any spoilers for the plot, there are a few musical leitmotifs shared by the Carbo Village theme and the Last Town theme in the game. Someone tell me what that song is called. Though they come from a place of radically different cultural and religious beliefs, they have more in common through the energy of their music than appears on the surface. My take on pious adepts, followers of the Church of Granus, used for track titles and later town themes on this release. I don't know what that means, but okay. Damn, I didn't know there was like religious themes in Grandia. Is that every game or just 2? Anyways, everything I've heard from Grandia has actually been really well received. You know, I like the battle stuff. It's really cool. I like it. There's been like live music too. It's got a bit of a cult following. It's like, it seems like it's one of these RPGs where it's popular yet kind of niche. You know what I mean? So I don't know, but I'm glad to have featured it, and it's one of my favorite things about VGM Vibes is you know, bringing all like aspects of games and different years, different consoles, stuff I haven't heard in a long time, etc., etc. Because I'm at that point now where I've heard so many songs and games, and it's nostalgic for me even to see Grandia. Like, I never played it, and yet hearing Carbo Village felt like home to me. So that was perfect because it reminded me of the first time I heard it in 2021. So that is Carbo Village from Grandia 2. Up next, we are going to be checking out Chrono Cross with Arnie Village, one of the lovelier songs here that really fit this hometown thing. A game I haven't played, I only played Chrono Trigger, but people really love this game, but also people really don't like this game. It's very polarizing, but that's okay. But since I haven't played it, I should read a few comments. First from Slim Fit Ye1 YC. I literally cried listening to this. Memories of being a happy kid and enjoying this masterpiece. Every game at this time was a journey to a magical fantasy world. Although cliche stories, they were so well crafted. I like both Trigger and Cross, but Cross's music is one of the best OST of that era and makes me like it more. Because every piece of music is so emotional and make the game world so unique and different from Trigger. I think that's the kind of beauty of video games. There's people forget that opinions exist. You know, like you can say something, but then people are like wrong. Like what? It's like it goes both ways. Like if you say one thing, then does that mean you're wrong to others? It's just kind of the silly thing, but that's really cool. I'm glad that people can find enjoyment in different things. In my case, I can't really say much because I didn't play Cross, but I did definitely play Chrono Trigger. I really like the sound of Chrono Trigger. To me, it sounds like a very, very unique soundtrack as far as like sound font and the whole story behind it and everything. It's a really impressive, great soundtrack with great melodies. Not to say that Cross isn't, but I don't have enough say in it because I haven't played it. But I'm glad that people really, really have an attachment to this game. A lot of people's first PS1 game. The next comment from Eugene Neary. Chrono Cross is a direct sequel to Chrono Trigger. What disappointed the fan base was how that fact is communicated in Chrono Cross. One could beat the main storyline and even a fair amount of the side quests and still struggle to piece the full story together. I see. You gotta figure it out yourself. The writers and producers were trying to invite the players to figure it out for themselves, but in the process, they just left too much unsaid for the average gamer. I played both games and thought I really understood the story well, but I struggled to understand the connection. There's a video series someone made on YouTube a few years ago that explains each game's story and how the two are connected. I was blown away because it made perfect sense. Chrono Cross is packed to the brim with clues as to how it's a sequel. It's just that. Most of them require you to go back and forth to make it go back and look at certain events in Chrono Trigger and really think through all the implications behind what you did to beat the game, as well as what could have happened. Okay, interesting. If you're ever wondering, like, Jesse, you shouldn't read some of this could be spoilery. If I even decide to play any game, the odds of me remembering a comment is just minimal, but really nicely said. And that's it. So my quick little thoughts on the song. I really love. I love the sound of Chrono Cross too. It's different. It's a different generation of console. It sounds really, really good. And there's just something kind of. Well, I mean, I guess home is redundant in here, but it really does. The Chrono Cross soundtrack, from what I've heard, does have a very home-like sound to me. It sounds like a living room. It sounds like playing video games with like your family, that kind of sound. I don't know how else to describe it. It also kind of reminds me of Disney a little bit as well. So that is Chrono Cross with Orny Village. It wouldn't be a VGM Vibes episode unless I could squeeze in one of my favorite soundtracks of all time, Ape Escape. If you never heard me talk about this game, you don't watch a lot of my videos. I love this game with a passion. Don't get me wrong, it's a very janky game, especially after playing Super Mario 64 for the first time a month ago. I could definitely see how like this isn't that much better. This game had a weird controller layout. For example, just to give you an example, this is one of the first. I think, I'm not 100% sure. I think it was the first game to require the DualShock controller, so you needed the analog sticks. But I don't think it was the first game to feature the analogs. Anyways, so it's definitely part of the game, right? If you want to, like, for example, there's like a hula hoop item. The character has to do a hula hoop, and he has to like rotate his hips, and that gives him like a speed boost. So you have to like rotate the stick. Jumping is done with like one of the shoulder buttons. I don't know any other game where the jump is a shoulder button. It's extremely awkward. The camera, instead of using the analogs, you have to use the D-pad. Don't get me wrong, the 90s were a time. But this game, I've talked about it in depth a lot. It's such an incredible soundtrack that almost nothing has come close to it to me. It's to me like the pinnacle not my favorite soundtrack, but it's up there. It's like it's in the top 3. You know, it's incredible. It's one of the reasons I started doing this channel. One of the reasons you're seeing me and met me. You know, I was a stranger to the world, but now a lot of people know this face and this voice. It's all because of Ape Escape. The soundtrack is, to me, one of the most defining and most underrated soundtracks in video games. Shuichi Terada was like this Japanese DJ who worked on this game, and man, just nailed the whole. Every location feels amazing, but it's all done in this like drum and bass and jungle soundtrack, and including this song. You heard at the beginning, the song sounds all like dreamy and floaty, but yet even this still has the drum and bass beats, and it's just so well done. It's just, for a game that has to do with a lot of time travel. You could see how like so many places and locations can be done. Time Station is it's a hub world. You know, it's where you choose your levels, but it's more than that actually. It's you could do a lot here. You teleport here after you're done with the level, and you can kind of go like different branching ways. You can go to the next level, choose your world there, or you can go this way and play a bunch of mini games. If you collected coins throughout collectible coins throughout the game, you can go another way and do like a training room and use all your gadgets that you've acquired. You can just go to different places and just kind of learn how to move around and do stuff. It's a really cool place. I love this song. It's to me has been one of the most like ethereal soundtracks and themes. I love Time Station. I have been waiting to talk about Time Station. You might have heard it on my channel before, but if there's ever a song I would recommend to just check out in the playlist, give yourself 3 minutes and 15 seconds. Just close your eyes, put this song on, don't talk, don't do anything for 3 minutes, and just let it kind of take you away. It's so cool, and it's just this little song that plays in the hub world that you're just in and out of. It's great. Yeah, Ape Escape. Good times. Good times. I knew this was going to be in here. That is Time Station from Ape Escape. Balamb Garden from Final Fantasy VIII is the next one we're going to talk about. The game you hear very early on. There's a lot to talk about this game because it was an interesting point in my career, that I haven't talked about too much, but I feel like, one day or maybe now, I don't know, where I kind of like dive into the situation. But long story short, this was the second Final Fantasy I tried directly after playing FF7 Remake, which is my first, and then the OG FF7. So then I tried FF8, but it wasn't nearly to call it like it is. It just wasn't my cup of tea. It wasn't a game for me, I guess. The only game I've ever like quit playing. There was only like 2 episodes recorded. It just didn't really like resonate with me. Although I did beat it. Completed it off stream by myself, the whole thing. So I saw everything. It was just it's. I guess I'm not alone in that. It's a very polarizing game. If you talk to 10 fans of Final Fantasy VIII, you'll get 10 different answers. They love it, they hate it. It's all over the place. It's got one of the coolest card games, one of the best soundtracks ever. But to me, it just was a lot of things. And I'm not here to be negative, but by default, something has to be at the bottom of the totem pole. And this was my least favorite Final Fantasy, for sure. It was just looking back on it, it was like, I don't know. I guess it was just like too much, too soon. I feel like I would have enjoyed it more if I played other Final Fantasies and then 8, because it was just like JRPG everything. Do all the things, read all these tutorials. Anyways, anywho, I just wanted to say that because a lot of people don't know what happened. I get comments all the time. Where's your FF8 playthrough? Whatever. the game was okay. It just wasn't my favorite. But I've always praised the soundtrack. It is incredible. I made a top 20 video when I used to do top 20 videos. Soundtrack is incredible, dude. It's amazing. Balam Garden is your kind of first home world, right? You're a bunch of basically like college kids, students. Sort of like, I don't know, it's kind of hard to describe. It's like a college campus, but it's also like a military training place. Very high fantasy. It looks like this giant shell. A lot of levels to it, and the song perfectly fits that. It feels like you're in this what I would consider the closest thing to a homeworld of this place. Right? There's also blue fields, but that's more of a world map theme, which we might talk about later in another video. But I just wanted to just put that out there that no matter how I feel about this game, and the reason I'm even bringing it up, by the way, is because I forgot to mention, this is the first time that my channel ever received like backlash. You know, I was on a pretty like hot streak for a while of just like everything is good, everything is cool, you know, Jesse can't do no wrong. But when I stopped 8, people were like, "Oh, dude, you know, screw you. This place sucks." People left. People unsubbed from like Patreon, all that, everything. You know, the thing is when you do that to someone's favorite game, it's just they take it personally, which it's kind of difficult for me as a content creator because it's like, well, you know, are you watching for me to experience a game on my own, or do you want me to play the game your way? So I learned a lot from that playthrough. And yeah, so not to bring the mood down, but FF8 is definitely a video game. But the soundtrack I will always pray, and Balam Garden is definitely one of those. And no matter how I feel about it, Balam Garden is indeed home. Up next, we're going to be checking out File City from Digimon World on the PlayStation 1. Game I never played, but I do remember like kind of falling in love with a Digimon song in the Desert Vibes video for, I can't remember the name of it, but it's in the Desert Vibes playlist. I really like that song quite a bit, and sometimes I use it as background music, so I was definitely excited to rehear some Digimon World, and it was an easy pick when people suggested it. From Frankie Co., this is my favorite niche PS1 game. I played so much of it in my childhood. Think of Digimon as like a virtual pet Tamagotchi, but for boys with cool monsters that battle each other. Here you don't capture them like in Pokemon. You raise them up, care for them, give them food, training, and battle with other Digimon running in the wild. The monster goes through their life cycle and eventually die. Becoming a new egg you have to raise. The monster evolves in different branches of evolutions depending on how you bring them up. Oh, well, that's kind of dark. Do they keep their memories, or is it just when you won every time? I remember it's because I asked. I definitely asked. I remember asking like the main difference between Digimon and Pokemon. From Rachel Spoon 4741. File City is where you begin and spawn at the start of loading up the game, and is primarily the town where all Digimon join. You venture out into the world for them to join the town to populate it. I thought of File City for a home theme instantly when I heard about your request for home themes. I still have my PS1 game of Digimon World and play it still. Man, I really wish. That kind of made me sad. I really wish I kept more of my my physical media as a kid. I don't know where a lot of it went. It's probably a lot of it is at my parents' house or something, but I didn't really. Not that I didn't take care of them. I guess I don't know. I guess when I was cycling through hobbies and stuff, I just misplaced them, and I don't even know where my PS1 is, or if it got sold or anything. So I'm very envious when I hear those things. A pretty big comment here from the German Wizard. I'll read a bit of it, or maybe all of it. We'll see. Digimon are digital monsters, and many games have different ways to interpret this concept, and the anime series as well. The Cyber Sleuth games handle it a lot like SMT, Shin Megami Tensei, and you most likely end up with an army of Digimon somewhere on a database to never use again, while you roam the net with your party. although that's a rather traditional RPG setup. Digimon World 1 is very different from the norm. There's a lot to say about Digimon World 1. Remember Tamagotchi? I saw it twice here, and I don't... I think it was like those little pets you brought up in the 90s, right? I don't remember if that... Like, I remember hearing about them, but I never had one. So I don't really know, like, what they consisted of. The game is basically something like that in an open world setting. As much as the PS1 lets you make a game like that anyway. Much like FF7, just a big interconnected assortment of rooms. No big overworld though. You are a kid that got sucked into his Digimon V-Pet, in which the digital world resides. You are tasked by File City's chief Gigimon to gather Digimon that apparently got brainwashed or crazy and bring them back to File City. Wait, how do we get sucked into the V-Pet? Or does that not matter? You have a Digimon companion that follows you around, fights for you, but you also have to care for it. Just like a V-Pet or Tamagotchi. It needs your attention, and likewise, do you need it to traverse the digital world. It needs food, it needs to use the toilet. I am not kidding, there are restrooms scattered everywhere that you can actually use for that. And you have to train it in order to have it evolve into bigger, stronger. Okay, so it really is like pets, but monster pets. Yeah, I was definitely very curious about Digimon because I always heard about it growing up. But this game seems to have a lot of love for it. Really cool. File City. Also, this comes in two variants, daytime and nighttime. I only heard the daytime, but I'll have the nighttime in the playlist as well. So that is File City from Digimon World. Up next, we have Welcome to Station Square from Sonic Adventure. A game I haven't played, but I do have a history with Sonic, which I explained in this reaction. If you want to see what I said there, it was quite in depth. But I did want to bring up that I found out that a channel that I watch called Atari X, which makes these really like silly shitpost meme videos. Apparently they're modding Sonic Adventure, so I was wondering why it seems so familiar, but apparently people really like this game, and it was kind of a pivotal at the time. So that said, chose some comments. I remember saying that this wasn't too long ago when I heard it. I remember saying that it sounded like a vacation or like checking into a hotel. You know, the whole song had like a very brochure type sound. You know, like if you go to like a hotel and there's like a video playing on loop, it sounded like that. From Digley, Sonic Adventure. Welcome to Station Square. This is Sonic's hub area for entering the different stages in the game. That's what I thought. In the previous Classics games, Sonic's environments normally started and revolved around islands. This is the first time Sonic is introduced to a city starting area, and the first time we are introduced to humans in the world besides Dr. Eggman. Oh. Despite being a concrete jungle, the hub area you the player start off in is a beach area, still connecting that island idea from the previous games. Station Square is very close to the coast. However, there's also a metro that can lead to the Mystic Ruins, which hold more stages closer to the island and natural environment aesthetic. A metro that goes to Mystic Ruins? From Lost Boy 626, Sonic is a drifter, the world's fastest hobo. No one spot is home for him. The planet is home is about as close as you could say. That comment made me laugh. I had to throw it in here. World's fastest hobo. Jeez. Okay. And for Magical Trevor 2, the game is indeed very water themed, with its main story being an ancient water monster that destroys Station Square in a day after tomorrow-like event. I never seen that. And no, I'm not spoiling. The cinematic that plays upon loading the game lays out this premise. Station Square is where the game starts, at a beachside hotel no less. So is indeed a home for this particular title. I like to think of it as a coastal resort city, like Australia's Gold Coast perhaps. Yeah, so yeah, I wasn't too far off on guessing this one. Yeah, it sounds like it's so much. It's insane. But I really enjoyed hearing this one, and Man, I gotta say, I'm very proud of my patrons and people that submitted for VGM vibes. But I think this episode, people really nailed it. You know, because of course I have my own entries, but the ones that I don't know, I'm leaving it up to the community. And man, they got it. You know, this sounds extremely hub world, and the home theme sound very home. So I don't know. I'm proud of you guys. That is Sonic Adventure with Welcome to Station Square. Up next, we're going to be talking about Hope or Surf Village, the hometown of the main character, Rudy, in Wild Arms. This is an amazing JRPG that came out in '96, and I enjoyed my whole time with it. It's very unique. This is one of those few instances where the party you get at the very beginning is the party you get. You have these three the whole time, and you become quite enamored with them. You know, Rudy's the main character. He pretty much utilizes these like weapons known as arms. Jack is this kind of like treasure hunter. He's got like tools, swordsman. And then Cecilia is doing like all the heavy lifting. She's a mage, so she's doing all the like black mage stuff, white mage stuff. She is just crazy overpowered. But the cool thing about this game is that you can kind of start the game with whoever you want. But I just chose to start with Rudy and Surf Village. It doesn't change anything who you start with. It just, they all kind of like line up eventually. But I did like this game because they always involve like the teamwork. So they each have their own kind of like world abilities to solve puzzles, and you can switch between them at any time. But of course, the music, this Western-inspired music that I really love, and still the best intro movie in a game that I've ever seen and heard. I love that thing. I gotta talk about that someday. But yeah, I love the feeling of Hope Village. It is one of the first songs I heard. Depends on who you ask, but it's one of the first songs I heard in this game upon starting it. And it just has that perfect feeling of like, it's one of those places where you don't really need to ever visit again. You know, it's kind of one of those themes where you hear it once at the beginning, and that's kind of it. I mean, unless you want to go back and just talk to some NPCs, you really don't have a whole lot of reasons to go back. So that's a reason it kind of gets amplified, because hearing it here for this, I was like, damn, I haven't heard this in a long time. So Hope Village, Wild Arms, great game. I recommend everyone to play it, especially if you like to rename spells like I did. I had all of Cecilia's spells be just characters that I met in other games, but good stuff. Surf Village, Hope in Wild Arms. Doom, 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 doo 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 doo. Super Mario 64 was my first Mario game that I experienced only just about a month ago. And man, that was a ride. That was a whole thing. By the way, if you wanted to check my review for it in my backlog page, it's right here. You can see everything I wrote, all the little nitpicks. But of course, this is the game that I wanted to try first, because this is a game I always heard about growing up. I mean, I was there from the inception. I was the target demographic, but I was over there playing PlayStation games and stuff. So this game is obviously classic for a reason. I'll leave it at that. But you know, when I was deciding what this theme was going to be for VGM Vibes, this sort of kind of kicked off the idea. I had a couple of similar ideas, but this is the one that made me combine both like home and hub world. Because at first it was going to be hometown, then I was going to be like hub world themes, but I'm like, they're kind of the same, you know, they work the same. But this is exactly that. This is sort of both, right? As soon as you start the game, you're in this tutorial area right outside the castle. And as soon as you enter the castle, you're then presented with one of the most famous, if not the most famous, hub world of all. I was trying to think of that. I'm like, what is the most famous hub world in games? It's probably this, inside Peach's castle. You can go this door, that door, Bowser's door, and go to the back courtyard. There's just, everything is here. Although there's stuff outside too, so never mind. So it was really nice hearing Koji Kondo's soundtrack for the first time. I played it on the Nintendo Switch Online. Not gonna talk about all the gripes I had, but you know, I will say this though. It was kind of inspiring to watch a speedrunner play it, because that's what made me finish it. Long story short, I did the minimum amount of stars to complete the game, which was like 70, I believe. And you know, then I had a lot of comments. And people were like, "Oh, you need to see the world record," and you know, I was like, "Well, I don't watch speedruns. I'm not a speedrunner consumer." And damn, I pretty much became one because I was seeing stuff that I didn't even know humans can do. And once I watched that, it really inspired me to finish and get all the stars. So I did beat this game completely, and it was a mission, but we did it. And I don't know. I think it was a great first experience, because I just know that anything after that is going to get way better. So that was my kind of glass half full with this game. I was like, nothing that comes after this is going to be as janky. So anyways, Inside the Castle Walls, very iconic little track, and my guess as probably the most famous hub world of all time. Pallet Town from Pokemon Gen 1, Red, Blue, or Yellow. I played the yellow version, the one with Pikachu running around, and the one that's closely adapted to the anime, the Indigo League, which I still want to finish someday. I'm gonna find a way to. I don't know. I've been thinking about it. Like I've been wanting to use like Patreon's exclusive chat. Trying to think of like what I want to do with that sometimes. Like maybe I should just watch like the Indigo League with people. I don't know, just kind of ideas I've had. I can't do it on YouTube though. I'm not even sure if I can do it on Patreon. Anyways, I can talk a lot about this, and I'm probably going to ramble about this, but I'll try to keep it brief. This game to me was unbelievably important. The first handheld game I ever played, and just this whole game is home to me. You know, every single song sounds like home. So hearing Pallet Town is just like, you know, home within home. One of the first songs you hear. And if you really think about it, it's the place that started it all. The song that started it all. This is the beginning of the Pokemon journey that's still going on to this day. Pallet Town. That's so, I don't know, it just seems so surreal. This kid waking up in his room and he can play his Nintendo and says goodbye, Mom, and we gotta go out into the world, and it's unbelievable. For this video, I wanted to do something kind of special, and I don't even know if it's gonna work. I have it. Sometimes I've shown that I have the old, my original Game Boy Color. You can tell it's original because it's beat to hell. I lost that cover a long time ago. Original game. Here's some ASMR. And I actually got some batteries. I'm going to attempt to fire this up for the first time since 1997. I've had no reason to do it since then. I've never played it since. I just want to see if I can, like, you know, hear that sound font really quick. But in the meantime, I'll try to do it all, like, without any cuts, because I'm kind of scared. I don't know if it's gonna like blow it up. Also, I'm curious where I left off. You know, like what was the last thing I did? But yeah, to this day, I still remember that it was a Christmas morning. I don't remember which Christmas, but I just remember getting two things. It was a VHS of the Indigo League, and the episode. You guys can tell me the episode. I forgot, but it was where like Ash and his friends were in this sort of like salon. It's like beauty salon, and there was like gloom and something else. That was the episode. That was the first episode I ever saw. And with that, I had this and the game, which is weird because I should have asked my mom. I should have called her and be like, what made you get me that? Because I didn't ask for Pokemon. I really didn't. Maybe the craze was so high that my mom was just like, I'm going to buy this for him or something, because I never showed any interest. At that point, I've only have barely heard about Pokemon. But it was weird that, you know, something that I didn't ask for or anything became my fixation for like a year straight. So, anyways, this is my first time. Let's see if I can make this work. Why am I nervous? Okay. These switches and components haven't been turned on in over 30 years. Oh, wait, where's the volume? Okay. Oh yeah, you can't see the screen. This is so crazy. Dun, dun, dun. You can see that, right? Oh, there you go. You can kind of see it. I forgot how dark the screen is. Hold on, I kind of want to go to Pallet Town. Wow, this screen is so dark. Holy crap. Da, 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 da. I didn't want to... New game? I only have a new game option? What happened? Oh, okay. Huh. What do you think that is? Hello there, welcome to the world of Pokemon. Well, either way, I'm getting nostalgic, you know. I don't know what happened. Huh. Definitely didn't delete it. Well, either way. That is my... it's just... I don't know, man. The sound font of that game, whether it's played through the speakers, which is crazy because I haven't heard it like that in so long, or through, you know, anywhere, like, it just... Junichi Masuda just kind of nailed it, you know? It is the epitome of home. I know there was little Root in this video too, but for me, this is it. You know, this is like the beginning of Pokemon, and I'm glad I was there for it. Kind of sucks that my save file was gone. Maybe it just disappears after a while. But yes, one of the easiest decisions I had to put in this video. I knew it was going to be in here. I thought it was going to be number one, but yeah, good times. I love this song, and I love this game. And let me know what your first Pokemon was, your first Pokemon game, and what you associate with as your first hometown theme. Up next, we're going to be checking out Shining Force 2, Lively Town. This song has such a Sega sound font to it. It's like I couldn't believe when I was hearing it. Sega Genesis, for those that don't know, was my first console ever. So I kind of have like not a bias, but I definitely know what it sounds like, you know. And man, it just reeked of the Sega. I didn't play it though, so I think I said I assumed it was an RPG just by the looks of it. But we're going to read from Code C69420. This is the first RPG I ever played. From a box of games left over by my cousin moving away. I loved the box art. It was detailed instead of cartoony. That's true. And I love the story, the characters, everything instantly. Kiwi the turtle monster is my favorite. That is true, actually. I never thought of that. You know, it's got a more like realistic look to it. I wonder if anyone else was drawn to that, you know, as a kid. As a little kid, it got kind of overwhelming. There are like 30, 40 characters, and battles range between 8 and 12 slots, I think. Then there are branching job upgrades, some requiring secret items, and then the debate over upgrading at level 20 or level 40, which I didn't learn about until we got internet in like 1999. But it was cool that it was its own story, meaning you don't have to play the first one to get going. The lore is based on the first one, but the cause and effect are unique. And the only characters that carry over from the first are expository. People hate on the Genesis sound compared to the SNES, but I love how unique it is. The bass is heavy, and it can sometimes sound like it's actually whistling to you when it gets really high. It also has a way of emulating woodwinds and brass sounds that the SNES couldn't. 30, 40 characters? What the heck? Old-time viewer, Lefty. What's up, Lefty? Now we're talking. Shining Force is a rather short-lived but great strategy RPG series. 1 and 2 were on Mega Drive, and the little-known Shining Force 3 was on Sega Saturn. SF3 had 3 scenarios that were split into separate games, and unfortunately in the West, we only got the first one. It was really cool because it was an entire story altogether, and certain info carried over between scenarios. SF1 is still my favorite, even if SF2 is technically better. I just like the aesthetic and tone of SF1 more. Yeah, I really enjoyed the song. It was, I don't know, I just felt it stood out. But I think it's because, even though, this might sound weird to some people, but even though I grew up with the Sega Genesis, it's not like I've played every game. There's still so many, let's just say the whole library I still haven't heard from Sega Genesis. I haven't heard many Sega Genesis songs on the channel. I've only experienced like 10 games or less my entire life, probably less than that. So you can imagine there's so much I haven't heard, and I don't know if people aren't requesting it because they think I know it. I definitely don't. But it's I had this weird like well, I guess nostalgia for it. So I could feel the home part even though I hadn't played it. It's just because it sounds like what I first known as video game music. Strange, but anyways, it's really cool to include Shining Force. I know it has a dedicated following, and I'm glad to have featured it. That is Lively Town from Shining Force 2. The next song to be featured, appropriately named, is Home Sweet Home from Final Fantasy V, a game that people really seem to all agree that it is the most underrated Final Fantasy of them all. Of course, that's going to vary person to person, but I see this comment a lot, that 5 is the one that is like the most underrated. So let me know how you feel about that. Great song, has an amazing feel of exactly what I was going for. As soon as I heard this, I was like, yep, that's it. I could honestly, there could have been a lot more Nobuo Uematsu on here, and I even scrapped some ideas just so there's not too much of him. But I really like this song, and it's just feels timeless to me. It feels timeless to me. Also, in 1992, this is the oldest song on this list, so this is definitely going to feel very nostalgic and home for a lot of people. But since I haven't played it, I will read off some comments. From Sonano, without spoilers, this game features characters who are going about their lives but discover a common purpose and themselves along the journey. We get the theme Dear Friends from this title. Plus, the job system is amazing. That is what I hear all the time when it comes to 5. Apparently, 5, I could be wrong, but 5 didn't invent the job system, but perfected the job system. And from Down UFO, 5 is my favorite. And I started the series with 7 the day it released, and obviously loved most of the series. Mainly 1 through 10. Something is just so magical about 5. You get to tinker with your party a lot because you collect jobs as you progress and can make your characters into all sorts of different classes, and it changes their appearance. So it's a good Final Fantasy for anyone who likes customizing and picking their own strategy. Its playable cast also ends up being more than half comprised of girls, women, which isn't common. And it has my favorite character of the series, Ferris, a pirate captain who has a pet sea serpent. It's extremely whimsical and comedic, but also has a very sentimental vibe throughout the whole thing. You guys are making a good point in selling it, but yeah, I was really happy to put this one in here. I had a feeling Final Fantasy shows up in the Vibe series a lot. Let's be real, because it's an RPG game that characters go everywhere and do anything. Plus, I'm a very big fan of Nobuo Uematsu. Obviously, you saw it earlier with FF8. There's a lot I could have chosen, but I'm glad this one made it through because it's a game I haven't played. It seems to have a lot of respect for it, and I feel that it's from what I'm seeing, it's a game that both followed a very beloved game and preceded another very beloved game, and that's why people call it like underrated, right? Followed 4, preceded 6, and then of course after 6 it was just like a series of like their, I guess, like their peak of popularity. So I really love this song, and it's nice hearing stuff that's before 6 because I haven't heard much of FF 1 through 5. I love hearing like kind of how it started and Nobuo Uematsu's tend to use these like beautiful melodies even like that early on. So that's it. That's, as far as like going back in time, up next is going to be my pick for the hometown themes, but that is Home Sweet Home from Final Fantasy V. For my last pick of this video, I said to myself, what's better than a hometown theme than 8 of them? And on top of that, an amazing soundtrack to go with it. And not only just the hometowns, but every location in this game sounds and looks beautiful. Normally, I would have a whole lot to say here at the end, but I'm going to keep this one kind of brief because I just want to get some things out of the way. Right, similar to Wild Arms, which is this talked about earlier, with the 3 characters you can kind of choose at the beginning, and then just they're all going to eventually meet up for the same story. Same thing happening here. It's you choose your starter. You have 8 characters. You get introduced immediately to their bio, who they are, what they do. And depending on who you pick, you'll start on that part of the map, and then eventually everything will kind of intertwine with itself. But the elephant in the room that I wanted to address was that this game, for those that may or may not know, on my playthrough when I played it a year ago, was that I pretty much loved everything about it. You know, the whole game, the whole time I was praising it, graphics, water, soundtrack, voice acting, just everything. The lighting is really good on particle effects. The gameplay in general is just pretty good, you know. Slow fights at first, but once you get strong, it doesn't really matter. The job system is very good. But for me, you know, it was this. The reason I'm bringing this up is because it's a unique thing that hasn't happened in any other game. But I remember doing like an optional side boss, which I'm not going to spoil, but again, it's just optional. After the credits roll, you can decide to do this if you want. And I decided to do it, and it was such a mistake, you know, because it just took like the life out of me. It was so difficult. And I've heard every walk of life try to like tell me different things, like, oh, you just need this build, blah blah blah. It's like a bunch of things that, like you can tell that, you know, they looked up strats before they attempted it or something. You know, like I think by default, to me the hardest boss I ever fought. I never beat him. That's the only boss I, in any game ever, have never been able to beat. And the thing is, I know I can, because anything is possible. It just wasn't fun anymore. And that's like the biggest, I don't know, like heartbreak to me for a video game. It's got to be fun. It's got to be making me want to do it again. But it just didn't. It made me like shy away from it. It gave me like the sour taste. It made me stop streaming for like a couple weeks. It just left such a bad taste in my mouth after such a great experience. And I never returned to the game after that. So, you know, I wanted to kind of give it its flowers because at the end of the day, this is a really beautiful game. I really did enjoy all the characters, the voice acting, every location was cool, the overworlds are cool. I've had it in VGM vibes a couple times. It's going to be in the next episode as well. The art style, everything is just, there's like this attention to detail that I really just enjoyed about Octopath Traveler that I've never felt with any other game. I would recommend this game to anyone who's getting into a turn-based JRPG, but also someone who's like an OG RPG player, because it definitely caters to old and new very well. You know, it's a really fun system. The fact that you can choose your own, you know, kind of character. And apparently the future games, which I haven't even gone to, fixed a lot of the like little gripes I had with this first game. For example, not a spoiler, whoever you pick for your first adventure, they will be locked into your party the entire time until basically you don't have a reason to play anymore, kind of. And at that point, you know, a lot of people would have wanted to just be able to swap them out, but you don't get that till later. Anyways, Every location is great. The music fits every single part. Every snowy location feels like snow. The Tressa's themes and Tressa's like whole like watery ambient vibe is like everything just fits. And I just wanted to give the game its flowers because just because of one thing that I never. I guess this is like my statement for that because it's not like I came back and recorded a, hey, this is what happened. It's just if you were there, you know what happened. But yeah, I don't want to think of this game anymore as a blight because for a while I did. For a couple months after I beat that game, I was just like, that thing. But it's definitely not enough to diminish everything else that the game did. I love the bosses. I love just the story that it intertwines with itself, how the chapters work. It's all so well done. It's all so well done. And I'm still going to play the future games. I just don't know when. But I wanted to, highlight it here. It's anything you can want in an RPG is pretty much here. So if you want overworld themes, you got a bunch. If you want hometown themes, you have a bunch. If you want character themes, you have a bunch. If you want battle themes, some of the craziest, most beautiful battle themes I've ever heard, they're here too. This game has some of my favorite songs ever in a video game. Discord, Determination, I think it's Decisive Battle 2. Anyways, I just kind of wanted to like bury the hatchet, so to say, and have it here. And it's well deserving. Anyone who's played Octopath Traveler knows that it's a magical game and it has something for everyone. And I want to think about it positively instead of how it ended. But that's just a me thing, Just wanted to be honest. So that's it. So I thank you for watching VGM Vibes, the hometown themes. It's nice to be back, and I will continue to attempt to have like a monthly episode. I'll try not to make them bi-monthly, but I'll try to shoot for like a monthly episode. And again, if you want to participate, free members on Patreon definitely can participate. Some of them were included here, whether that's suggesting a song, being in the comments section. You don't have to pay anything. You just have to have a membership or an account to be part of the VGM Vibe stuff. And in case you missed it at the beginning, the next episode is going to be world map themes. I can't wait for that. There's going to be some games that were here in that one. And let me know, what are some of your favorite hometown themes or hub worlds? What did I miss? I'm sure there was plenty. And there's still many, 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 many VGM Vibes episodes. I have so many ideas. It's crazy. But thank you all for your patience. Thank you to the Patreon members. Thanks to everyone that gave a request. And it's just always fun to do this. I'll see you all in the world map themes. Take it easy.